Are you ready to say goodbye to the constant ups and downs of the artist income roller coaster? Whether you're a full-time artist who wants to increase and stabilize your income, a part-time musician who wants to go full-time, or a hobbyist who needs to fund your passion projects, this podcast will equip you with the tools, resources, and inspiration to make it happen. My name is Bree Noble. I'm a musician, best-selling author, and educator whose mission is to help musicians like you to increase the income you're already making and tap into new income streams so you can create a more diverse, stable, reliable income from music and finally ditch the starving artist mentality. Now let's dive into the Profitable Musician Show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Bree Noble, and I'm here today with Andy Gesner from Hip Video Promo, and we're going to talk about marketing. And as we started this conversation, Andy said to me that, we wish this wasn't true, but it is, that really 20% of what makes musicians successful is their talent and their music, and 80% is the marketing. And I know some of you might not want to hear that, but if you make wonderful music but nobody knows about it, you're not going to be able to succeed, right? So we do need to understand marketing. We need to understand how we can get our message out there through our music and gather people around us. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we jump into that, I would love to know, Andy, just your background. Like, how did you get involved in music? How did you get involved in promoting music videos and then expanding into all this other kind of marketing? And you've been doing it a really long time with artists, a lot of artists that I recognize in all different genres. So I'd love for you to cover that before we get into the nuts and bolts of the tactical stuff.
Well, Bree, thank you for having me on your program. It's very much appreciated.
Absolutely.
I was the 3-year-old kid in 1964. My 12-year-old sister comes running into my bedroom on a Sunday night. She grabs me by the arm. She says, come on. We're going to watch Beatles on TV. And I figured it was some kind of insect show. I didn't know what the heck she was talking about. But Bree, it was my first coherent memory. Oh, wow. Ed spun around, and my sister, she was like a whirling dervish, screaming like all those young women at the Ed Sullivan Theater. My brother was on the other side, his jaw hitting the floor. I remember turning around. My parents were aghast. How could they be allowing their children to see such rubbish? Look at those long-haired, crazy people with their guitars and stuff. But I felt that palpable energy. I felt the vibration. So all throughout the 60s and 70s, I was the music guy, first buying the 45 singles. And then, of course, you made your way into the 8-track tapes. 8-track tapes, I know. I'm dating myself.
You're fully dating yourself. That's okay.
Yes. But the albums, you'd go to the store and they were $4.99 or $5.99, or if it was Frampton Comes Alive or Leonard Skinner's One More for the Road, it was a double record. It might be $6.99. And if you went to go see Queen at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, ticket price was $8.50. And I was all about it. And in order to become part of my peer group, they were all playing guitars and making all kinds of racket. I figured the best way to fit in would be, well, every rock band needs a bass guitar.
Yes.
So I went to the store. I said, can I buy a left-handed bass? And the guy behind the counter laughed at me because I'm left-handed. I write left, I bat left, he's like, who do you think you are, Paul McCartney or something? And I didn't understand what he was talking about. But then he just kind of plays like, yeah, no left-handed basses. I said, all right, give me a right-handed bass. So I learned how to play bass right-handed. And for 20 years, Bree, I did exactly what your fans and your viewers did. I fought the good fight. We did everything we possibly could. back in the day, the schematic was the same for 20 years. You get together with talented people, you write some songs, you go into the recording studio, you pick a market to get going in, you make friends with the other bands, you go check them out, you find out who the local newspaper people are. Thankfully, it was Central New Jersey, so I was enrolled at Rutgers, so I joined the college radio station. I think so much of those important experiences of actually making human connections with people was really beneficial, because as someone who makes music and creates art, you really want to pay attention to the people that are showing appreciation to you. So in the year 2000, at the age of 39, man, it's so hard, Bree, to get past the pain point. I'm like, well, look, if I can't do, I'll teach. And I had a dear friend who said, Andy, not for nothing, it's only going to be a matter of time before the entire human family will be able to watch music videos on their computer. I'm like, what? Really? Watching music videos on their computer? He's like, yeah. This new worldwide Webby Web thing, it's not going anywhere. It's going to be here a while. I said, okay. So obviously, it's the old catch-22. You can't get anyone to hire you if you haven't worked with great people. But of course, how do you work with great people if no one's going to hire you?
Right.
So it was 2003. I had, I'm pleasantly persistent. I'm not like all arm twisty. And Lost Highway had always been just one of my top tier favorite labels of all time. And you get the polite thanks, but no thanks. I don't know. And so they called, it was early 2003, and said they had a new video. And of course, I was curious who it was. So when they told me it was Johnny Cash, my jaw hit the floor. But they were concerned because in the video, Johnny didn't look well. In fact, the woman at Lost Highway said, you were kind of not sure what to do with this because it really does look like he's ready to shift off this mortal coil. And then said, what's more, it's a 9 Inch Nails song.
Oh, I love this one. Okay.
Yeah, so not the normal Johnny Cash repertoire. And of course, this was way back before you could just send a link via email or WeTransfer. They actually sent a VHS tape overnight. So we watched the video. Once we had wiped a tear from our eyes, I reached out. I said, please put us in, coach. We want to play. And Bree, the rest is history. From that point, I could go back to Sub Pop and Polyvinyl and Drive-Through Records and Touch and Go and Drag City and Fearless and Fueled by Ramen, all those great indie rock bands from the Double Zeros. And all of a sudden we're working with Octone, and they're bringing us Maroon 5, and Fueled by Ramen says, yeah, we got this new band called Paramore. I remember going to interview them in Baltimore, and the bass player comes out right before the interview, and he looks kind of like, this might not happen. And he comes up and says, look, not for nothing, our lead singer, her voice is shot. It was their first tour. And I'm thinking, this ain't going to happen. And then he looks at me and says, if you're okay with Haley just speaking softly, she'll be out in 5 minutes. It was right then and there I knew they were going to break through. They were going to get past that pain point, because it's just, they were out there to make a statement. And so Wow, it's just been the most incredible journey. And it's true. If you love your job, Bree, you'll never work a day in your life. Here I am sitting on my couch and just with my championship team, and we help people with the heavy lifting. We all know that if it's dressed in overalls and it looks like work, and the fans of your transmission, they don't like the marketing. So as you've pointed out, one of the best things you can do is find trusted partners with great reviews online and a great client list to help you. And that can make all the difference in becoming a profitable musician.
Yeah, it sure can, especially people that have done it multiple times for other people and know the lay of the land. Because I think that's where artists get stuck, is they don't know the lay of the land, or they've heard this, or they've seen somebody else do this and they think they need to copy that, but maybe it's not a good fit for them. So, having someone help them with like a personalized strategy is really important. But I want to go back to the Johnny Cash thing, because I want to know what you did to promote this video in 2003 when we didn't even have YouTube yet.
We did not have YouTube yet. So the music video programming landscape was vastly different. You would have to you'd have to dub all the videos. So they send you a master 1-inch tape, and you have to go and you have to put it on 3/4-inch tapes, probably about this size, 3/4-inch tapes. That's what television used back in the day. And that kind of morphed into Beta SP. And there were television channels all over. You had your MTV and your CMT and your BET. And you had your Much Music in Canada, which is now morphed into Stingray. You had your music choice then. You have your music choice now. Content providers. Even 22 years ago, whether you went into a Foot Locker or the department store, or you were on a cruise ship or Friday night bowling, the fitness centers, they all had the music videos playing. So I'd look like Santa Claus going to the post office with the big bags of tapes, and we'd send them out to all the people. And of course, I'd get on the phone. This was back when you still actually spoke to people on the phone. And I'd say, hey, I had this new video from Death Cab for Cutie, or I had this new video from the Shins, or any of the great bands we were working with at the time. And the whole idea was, don't be a jerk, just make friends with them. And at the time, I used to go on a tour of the country visiting the programmers. I would time it so that I'd be leaving about now, end of February, head down to Florida, then into Texas for South by Southwest, then to the West Coast, then up the West Coast, back through the middle of America, stop at JBTV in Chicago, which has always been a great outlet for music video exposure, and just made friends with these people. Remember, people will gravitate towards your music because they like your music, but sometimes they gravitate towards you because they like you.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. That's a lot of what I work with my artists on, is that it's sometimes, the music can be the doorway, but sometimes you are the doorway to the music.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So how has this changed? How has it changed that you interface with other people over these 22 years? Like, obviously, you don't have to drive all over the country anymore. You can meet with people on Zoom like we're doing right now. You can do so many things. You can send things over the internet. But do you still do that? Do you still go on your little tour every year?
I do. And sometimes it's down through Florida, or other times it's through Tennessee to see our friends at those outlets there, more of the country music-based outlets. But I think what has really changed, and it happened quickly, is once you could watch videos on your computer, music websites and blogs started popping up everywhere. Sure, you had the rollingstone.com and the spin.com, but all of a sudden you had fader.com and you had stereogum.com or pitchfork.com. And it became clear if we could get these well-respected, highly curated websites and blogs to either feature the music video or do an interview, that's online exposure that is extremely valuable. I mean, online real estate for any of your people who you work with and or who view this broadcast, you got to know, not only is it helping you build your community because new people are hearing you and learning of you, finding out what your story is, search engine optimization. It's so important. And the only way you're going to be top dog there is if you populate the World Wide Web with lots of great online real estate. So we started really combining the television and the content providers with the online exposure. So in a lot of ways, we became an online PR company while we were continuing to promote the videos. Then all of a sudden, it's the early tens, and we're helping our clients with social media marketing. As the one-man sales crew, if you really listen to your clients, and I know you know this, Bree, they'll tell you exactly what it is they need. And then as a business person, entrepreneur, you got to figure out how you can offer that to your clients and really make a difference. So it's been since 2012, we've been helping our clients with the social media marketing end of things. But if you consider your music video is your most potent and powerful piece of marketing currency, you're going to want to use that to build your Instagram, YouTube channel, Facebook, X, TikTok. So let's face it, people listen now more than ever. They listen with their eyes. And people want to hear it, but they also want to see it. And if you're planning a marketing strategy to eschew video completely, all I can tell you is if you try to eschew video completely, it's going to suck to be you.
Well, why do you think we're videoing right now, right? When I first started this podcast, it was audio only. And I do love audio only. And I consume a lot of audio only. But I also, it's like, why would I not create a video here while we're doing it, right? Especially because sometimes people are not even, like, they're just used to consuming video on that platform, and they may not even be watching us right now, right? They may be like, well, obviously there's nothing super exciting going on the screen, but I'm used to consuming things on YouTube. So I'm going to watch this podcast on YouTube, right?
No, absolutely. And people could see that you're enjoying the conversation, and they can see that my passion, my ebullience for what I do, they might hear it in the podcast, but with the visual, they can see, yeah, this guy is loud. He's bombastic, man. He's really like over the top. But I would like to think as a marketing professional, the last thing you want is a dud of a negative Norman, all sour and grumpy. It doesn't work in this world.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So you were talking about online real estate. And I know, in the 2000s and early 2010s, it was SEO was super big and blogs and all of that stuff. How does that morph into what we have now, where we have all these social media platforms? We're putting out video on all of those. Did those even count as real estate anymore because they might go away? And then, like, what about AI?
Hmm. Well, I've got so many great stories of search engine optimization success. And pretty much every single success story, it boils down to just one simple word: consistency.
Mhm.
That's all it is. Just remain consistent. Another issue, and I'm sure you found this because you tell the people who lean on you for your sage wisdom, you tell them you got to be present. You're going to have to level up. You're going to have to put your inhibitions on the back burner because for every 3 or 4 posts about your music, you got to sprinkle in at least one personality post. Do you agree with that, Bree?
I absolutely do. And I actually thought I saw an article recently about this, about, people were in the music industry were kind of frustrated with the fact that now you basically have to be a character or a personality, as well as being a great musician. And they're like, why can't we just be musicians? So I'd be curious to hear your thoughts around that because I do believe that it's much harder. There are people out there that are amazing musicians that will become famous no matter what, just because they're so incredible. But most of the time, you need both.
You snooze, you lose. And if you just approach it as I do, I ain't precious about any of it.
Mm.
Do I take people's doubting of me into consideration? I do. People will say, Andy, you got to dial it back, man. Just too crazed. No one's going to take you seriously. You're just always so upbeat and enthusiastic and ever excitable. It's like, don't you get concerned that people are all just going to think it's an act? Maybe you should really consider, toning it back a little, man. Do you smell what I'm cooking? You got to tone it back a little. I do take into consideration their doubting of how I roll. Bree, the best thing you can ever be in life is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just the way I am. And if I were to try to change the way I am, everyone would know something was off. If I had a quarter, remember back in the day when we used to say if I had a nickel, right? If I had a quarter for every time people have asked me what chemical extractions I'm on, I definitely could have wrapped this up years ago. But I'm not going to temper my ebullience. I love what I do. I mean, this is fun. And later this year, we turned 25 years old. It's like, I get it. It's not that huge a milestone, but as you well know, any business, if you can hang in there for 5, 8, 12 years, you're doing great. If you can do it for 25, that's pretty remarkable, especially in the entertainment industry.
Oh, yeah. That's always been my mantra. It's like, I just hit 10 years in business and even doing this podcast. And it's like, I will outlast, everybody else because I am pretty good at being consistent and I believe in it. And like you said, I think if you're consistent, you will succeed. Now you probably have to do some pivoting along the way and you can't just keep grinding the same thing and not be looking up and seeing if it's working. But, part of it is just doing it and doing it and doing it. But let me ask you about like the opposite end where like, you're like, I'm not going to dial myself back. But what if you just are naturally an introvert? You feel super uncomfortable about talking about yourself online and, getting out there and doing whatever you need to do on a music video to be, have a video that's really going to attract people. But yet it's so important to you to get your music out there because it's your art. It's a piece of you. How do you overcome that?
Boy, I'm sure you've come across this countless times. Yeah, people will hear what you have to say and they end up being all talk, no walk. It's like, yeah, I'll do it. And then they never do it. So when you actually call them out on it, they start saying things like, well, people really don't care what I do other than my music. I'm like, sport, that's the wrong attitude. Come on. Come on, you can do something. So here are some tips. Number one, you don't want to get camera ready and you're an introvert. So lean on a personality post that's easy. Remember, you can do a personality post off camera. You point the camera. People love to find out what the world looks like around where their favorite artist lives. So if it's someone who lives in Wisconsin, they want to see how beautiful the scenery is. Or if they live in Austin, Texas, they might want to go to 6th Street and see the sights there. But you can always be off camera and just be the narrator. Personality post. We do Turntable Tuesdays. Now I get it. Some of you watching, not only do you not have a turntable, you don't have any record album.
I do. You see mine back there?
Right. So think, Bree, every Tuesday you could, just because you are a personality, you are a public figure, and I've seen some of your cool records, you could just do a 35-second post. Just hey, it's Bree here. It's Turntable Tuesday. We're going back to 1972 for this one. No one expected David Bowie to be anything more than just a one-hit wonder when we all heard Space Oddity. But I bought this record, and I bought it. Tell stories around your music, and don't be too precious about any of it. You got to put your inhibitions on the back burner. It's funny how if you just get over your initial anxiety and dip your toe in the water, you're going to find out it's not that difficult. Then when you start to get appreciation from friends and fans and family, it's like, hey, I really enjoyed that post about your cat Buster. He's a real character. It kind of gives you a little bit more confidence to keep doing it.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to actually start in order to get it. Yeah, it's like that, the snowball effect, right? But you can't start making a snowball if you don't start with any snow. So you have to start with something, and then it builds and builds and builds. But sometimes we build it up to be like, oh, but what if this? And what if I said this wrong? And that is another thing that I think I'm pretty good at, is just not being precious. Like you said, I do these live. Sometimes, I'm in the middle of a conversation and I forget the question I was going to ask or whatever. Like I try not to, because I know that if I'm going to be all perfectionist about it and I need to do like massive editing, and I won't do it. Right. So I've just learned to not be precious about it. And yeah, maybe I said a few things that I didn't like, or I said too many ums and knows. And because I know that those are the things that I say when I'm thinking, right? And I hear it all the time, but I'm like, I'm going to do it anyway, because otherwise I won't do it if I make it such a big production. So I think that's one thing, is just having to get real with yourself. It's like, is the world going to end if I said every other word? No. Will I get better the next time I do it? Yes, because I'll be more aware of it. Right. So those are kind of the tips that I give people. But, some people aren't as good at getting past that stress of like, what if I say the wrong thing? What if someone thinks this about me? And there's going to be people that are thinking whatever about you, good and bad. So you just kind of have to be like, I have to be good with what I'm going to do. Would I rather know that there's a few people thinking weird about me and actually do the thing, or just sit here and be afraid of that, but like never do the thing?
80% of any challenging task is just getting started.
Yeah, I totally agree. So with music videos that you help, I know you help people on all sides of marketing. Mm-hmm. Are you mostly promoting those on YouTube? Are you trying to get them on, even nowadays, are you trying to get them on blogs? Is Spotify a bit? I know they've got video now. Is that a big place for video? Are you actually putting clips out on social media to drive people to these places?
If you visit Hip Video Promo, or perhaps just Google Hip Video Promo, put it in a search bar. We approach it all, Bree, like we're musicians, we're artists trying to catch people's attention. Because actually, we are musicians. We are artists. One of our staffers today just released a music video, and it's literally like the back of the shampoo bottle. Consistent, sustained promotion. She has begun the shampoo. Now, this campaign is going to go for a month, month and a half. And as we start to wrap up, she's going to rinse. And then, guess what? 2.5 months from now, brand new video, brand new song. Repeat the process. We have clients who do the 60-day grind. Now, I know you're watching. You're like, I can't release a song every 60 days. That's 6 releases in 1 year. Can't do that. I'm like, all right, all good. Go the 75-day grind. And they're like, well, what's that? I said, well, you got 5 tracks lined up? And they're like, well, it's like, come on, dude. Failure to plan is like planning to fail. You got to have a marketing strategy. You have to have a release strategy. If you don't have all this stuff, man, go sell appliances at Best Buy. You're not in the right vocation. People hate hearing that, Bree.
I bet they do. You're crushing their dreams.
Oh, God forbid they might have to do something. Yeah. It's like so many of these great, talented people, they think that they can just make the music and it sounds great, well-crafted songs. And that because the songs are so great, the human family is going to find them.
Yeah, I mean, I could say the same thing about this podcast. I'm just going to make it and put it out there. And because it's good, people are going to find it. No. Same thing about my newsletter. Same thing about my courses. Like, whatever it is you're doing, you have to get the word out. It's not always fun. I wish I didn't have
worst.
To, right?
It is the worst. Absolutely. And that is why we have had such a great run of it here, is that we're like our clients scrubbing bubbles. We do the work so they don't have to.
Yeah, and artists generally do need that, especially if either they don't have the time to do it, right? Maybe they're working a full-time job and they're doing this music on the side and they don't have time to figure out the marketing. It makes sense because they've got money from their job that they could pay you, or they're a full-time artist, but in order to be a full-time artist, they have to, do a bunch of gigs and that takes their time. It's hard to balance all these things. What do you find is the best way that people are able to have the money that they need to have a proper marketing strategy? Are some of them working full time and then putting the money into the music marketing? Are some of them, like getting investors or using their life savings?
I enjoyed that video you posted addressing this exact question of how you're supposed to do all this if you're working 45, 50 hours a week. Another thing I see is, Andy, did you not get the memo? I have 4 children, ages 19 to 7. I mean, the stuff you're telling me I need to do, I'm either going to have to clone myself or, start neglecting my kids. I mean, these are such huge issues. And then you have people, many who have said, look, I know we were going to be doing this big campaign in April, but I have to go to Phoenix because my mom is under the weather. It's like John Lennon said, life's what's happening when you're busy making other plans. So I think that two words to remember. There's only two words, Bree, that your fans and viewers and listeners should take away. Make it easy on yourself. Uh, banked content. Banked content. So easy. Like this Saturday, we're getting ready to do a documentary for our 25 years in the business. And we're going to make little shorts. It's just going to be fun, like old photos, and just going to put the photo down and I'm going to talk about them for like, what is it, a minute? Yeah, a minute. Probably do a dozen of them. It's just, we haven't banked. Or if we get a package in the mail with clients' merchandise, we do the unboxing video. Or Throwback Thursdays. Heck, you could do a whole bunch of Throwback Thursdays, because if you are an artist and a songwriter and a musician watching this, you've got a history. Your discography, your shows you've done. Don't be bashful to show the world a younger version of you, because there you're able to actually, I got all excited, you're actually able to tell stories. And believe you me, it's like anything else. If you're passionate about what it is you're presenting, as you are, Bree, with what you're doing, and you're really doing God's work here, helping these people because they desperately need help. You're actually making a human connection with people by it's okay to show people your vulnerabilities, or how you were snookered at this gig you played back in 2014 where there's so many great stories. And of course, you've heard a lot of horror stories. No one has ever gone bust preying on the naivete of indie nation. It's just a lot of times people, when they finally find me, they've been snookered, bamboozled, they've been taken to the cleaners, they've been sold a bill of goods, all hat, no cattle. Yes. And as someone who was active, that happened to us too. And my only advice to you on that is who have they worked with? There's got to be a record of who they've worked with. And everybody gets reviews. So you want to go actually read the reviews. Or you can ask the marketing company, give me some references. I want 3 references. I want 3 people you can feel comfortable me reaching out to learn about their experience. If said marketing company can't do that, that is a big red flag.
For sure. And I think talking to actual people, or at least emailing with actual people, because nowadays, AI, you can create fake testimonials and, it's kind of frustrating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, there's never been more fake, phony frauds, liars, fakers, fairy tale makers in this music industry than there is today.
Yeah. And I get them too, because I am a musician. I also get reached out to on Instagram, direct message, and on email and everything by these people. And I'm like, dang, they're getting so smart. How do you tell? Well, the only way you can really tell is talk to people that are real people and ask them.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Well, this has been a really great conversation. What do you think is like the biggest opportunity right now for artists with all that we have in our arsenal? I think there are so many opportunities we have now that we didn't have 25 years ago when you started, with the gating of the labels and all that stuff. We have so much more freedom, but then in some ways that makes it harder, because it's like we could do anything. What should we focus on?
There was a time where the exposure opportunities were finite. In other words, you had MTV, MTV2, and MTVU, and they all had very strict, cramped programming opportunities. Same thing at BET, certainly at CMT. And here you are, an indie artist, you're going up against these big labels. How the hell are you going to get past the decision makers and gatekeepers when you got all those big labels with the super well connected relationships, all of that? Number one thing to do is just make great music. Great music will always find an audience. 13 years ago this very month, the Lumineers, new band. They were Jersey folk, and then they moved to Colorado. And sent the song. I don't know if earworm was a term in 2012, but they're like, yeah, do you think it's okay? It's kind of hokey and cheesy. We wrote this because when we play in Brooklyn, all those insufferable, think they know it all types in Brooklyn, they thought we were a goof. So we added the shouts in there to try to get their sorry ass attention. So, and I said, well, there's really no way to know if this song is the same earworm that my staff and I think it is. There's only one thing we can do. And really, presentation is everything. If you go to hipvideopromo.com, we have told the story of all of those thousands of artists that you find there. Someone's got to tell the story. And you and I both know, Bree, the artists themselves, they can't tell their own story. It's not going to be good because they're too close to it. Mm-hmm. And of course, you can maybe have the manager write the story, but that's not good because that's the wrong angle. You could get your best friend's wife who's a professional writer. You need someone who has actually done it and knows what the decision makers, gatekeepers are truly looking for. So that's one of my greatest joys as a journalism and mass media major, Rutgers University, class of '89, is being able to craft that kind of story that when you're done reading it, it's like, you know what? I really do want to watch this new music video. So,
and I would say that has to be paired. Someone who knows marketing knows how to write the story, but they also have to like your music, right? Because they're gonna be passionate about the way that they write it. So it's important to make sure that your marketing person actually thinks your music is good, and they're not just taking a paycheck and writing around to the fact that they're just like, this is just sounds like everything else.
And what's been very helpful to us. In other words, there are those that will not tell a potential new client, a sport, cupcake, this is not a good first impression. Because I'm sure you've all been on YouTube. There are a lot of really crappy ass crap videos out there. So my philosophy is A, why would I take a potential client's money if the video is not a good first impression? Not only is that damaging the potential client irrevocably, just if we were to promote that video, what happens when said artist actually improves their creative output and they make a great video? Well, the decision maker gatekeepers, they're going to remember the piece of crappy ass crap
Yes.
they got before, and they're already SOL before they even get to look at the
I have had to get past that. I've had that, because I've had my Women of Substance music podcast since 2007. And there have been people that submitted to me early in their career. And I'm like, this is like, I can't believe they submitted this to me. But then later they come back to me 5 years later and I see their name and I remember, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. But, sometimes I'm pleasantly surprised, but it is possible that I would not even listen to their song.
Right. Well, the truth has a certain ring to it. And I think over time, my percentage is 90% when told we're not working together on this one. They are actually appreciative and they respect that we weren't out just to get their money. And quite often, the real story comes out. They're like, well, I got to tell you, I had such great hopes for this video, such a great vision. But the videographer I chose ended up being a jackass. And he wouldn't listen to my ideas. And he became a tyrannical dictator. And then it took him 3 months to deliver the freaking rough draft, Andy. The rough draft. It's like, it was a nightmare. I'm like, well, you see?
You're right. That's clear. I see that now.
You can go back to the drawing board. It's like experience is a hard teacher. She gives the test first and the lessons afterwards. Just don't do any of the dumb things you did on this one and you'll be okay. And then they call 8-9 months later. Andy, you remember me? It's Bobby. Yeah. You told me my video I sent sucked. I said, well, no, I didn't say it sucked. I probably told you it's not a good. Yeah. You told me it was not a good for. Yeah. Okay. Well, you're right. In retrospect now, that video did suck. And thank you for being honest with me, because I ditched the lame-ass video director I got a new one. I'm going to send you my new video. And they send the new video. It's terrific. And it makes you feel good because you did right by the big guy. You didn't fib. Yeah. So, yeah, just know that first impression is really important. And a lot of people try to call in the second one. It doesn't work that way. You don't get a second chance to make a second impression.
Yeah.
This business is not for the weak of heart.
Yes, that's very true. You have to be able to take no a lot in order to get to a yes. I have one last question. We've had so much great conversation here, but I have one last question for people who maybe don't even know where to start. They're like, I want to make a music video. I don't even know how to start. I'm afraid if I do it myself, it will suck and it will get rejected. Do you guys help people connect with videographers in any way, or do they only come to you once they've got a finished product?
As the one-man sales crew, I talk to every client. And I have had issues referring videographers myself. So in 2017, we started Hip Video Productions.
Very smart.
Figured, hey, there's only one surefire way to make sure that the videos that we promote are terrific. And we can assure ourselves of that if we make them ourselves. So it was 2017, and just like anything else, it takes a while to get better at your craft. But if you visit Hip Video Productions, you'll see we create music videos, lyric videos, social media, short form content. We just did a whole series of sizzle reels, EPKs. Remember, folks, people listen with their eyes. If you're not utilizing visual content, start utilizing visual content.
Yep, I agree. Well, that is awesome. So they can go to Hip Video Promo and Hip Video Productions. Is that right? .com?
That is correct. And it's so easy to reach out if you've got a question about marketing or how you want to level up. I get it. A lot of these marketing companies, not only do you not speak to the person in charge, at many of them, you don't speak to anyone.
Mm.
So I am fully available. I'm quite certain you will share my contact info.
Absolutely. It will be in the show notes. And if they want to kind of see, you were talking about some of those social media posts that you do where you bank them, do them all at once. I do similar stuff. How can they connect with you on social media?
At Hip Video Promo.
Very
And
easy.
the YouTube channel is at Hip Video. And I've also got a web series podcast called Hip to the Scene. And I got kind of tired, Bree, of answering the same questions every week, week in, week out. So we picked questions, and I got an expert and asked him. So now when they call, I can just say, just watch episode 9.
Oh, that's good.
Episode 13, or yeah.
That's a good idea. Well, thank you so much. All the links will be in the show notes. And thank you so much, Andy. You have so much experience over so many years to share. I really appreciate all that you shared today, and just kind of understanding how the industry has changed over the years, but yet the fundamental principles of promoting your music are the same.
You're doing such great work. Think of all the people that have been able to really move so much further ahead in their creative pursuits because they discovered you. So really, congrats and bravo on all the things you do to help your fellow musical kindred spirits.
Thank you. You're tapping into my happy place when I think about kind of the ripple effect of what I do. And when I'm, tired of recording podcasts, I'm like, but this could help another person. So thank you for pointing that out, because that is what fuels me.
No, and what seemed like just throwing a little pebble into the lake, in 2007, make no mistake, every time you post one of these great new conversations, it's a considerably sized rock. I mean, it's reverberating out more and more. Have you noticed that?
I think I have. Yeah, I do. I think there's kind of there's definitely an inflection point at the beginning where you feel like you said earlier, when you're putting stuff out there and nothing's happening. And then, you get better, you get more, and then you feel like there's this point where I think I'm actually making some waves.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone can get there. You just have to be consistent.
Yes, consistent, sustained promotion. And yes, everybody watching, if you liked the content here, share this transmission with your fellow musical kindred spirits. And certainly if it's marketing that's really been putting you on a sick trip, as I mentioned to Bree, I'm here. I'm here in the Great Garden State. Looking forward to your call.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. You guys reach out for sure. If you want to talk to Andy, he is available. Thanks so much again. And this was a great conversation.
What a pleasure. It was absolutely the best. And enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll speak again soon.
Thanks for listening to The Profitable Musician Show. I would love to know your takeaways and aha moments from this episode. Leave me a comment over at profitablemusician.com so I can bring you more of the information, interviews, and resources that you love. Thanks to Rondi Fay, one of my Academy members, for providing the music for our podcast. You can check her out at rondifay.com. That's RANDIFAY.com. Just remember, knowledge is power, but without implementation, it is useless. And inspiration without action is merely entertainment. But I know you're not just a dreamer, you are a doer. And I promise I'll be here every week to support you and remind you that you can be a profitable musician.